Hi everyone, and welcome to our Redox Revolution presentation. My name is Kathy Bontrager, and I want to begin by thanking you for being here today. I believe that two of our greatest assets in life are our time and our health, and I really appreciate anyone willing to give up a little of their time to learn about their health. I have been partnering with ASEA for almost 2 years now. I am from the great state of Kansas, where my husband Ron and I have lived for over 33 years. I am a serious entrepreneur who excels in business, having owned and operated a retail store for 11 years. I love network marketing, and my life has been changed by it. I believe ASEA is a company that can help you reach your dreams. I was introduced to this amazing technology, and I have come to agree with the statement that this is the single greatest health science breakthrough of our lifetime. We would like to spend the next 30 minutes with you sharing what are redox signaling molecules and why do you need them. We will watch a quick draw video for a visual to help reinforce what you have learned. We will discuss a few of the scientific research studies that have been done and tell you a little more about the company. To better understand redox, we need to dip our toes in a little bit of science. Our bodies are made up of between 75 to 100 trillion cells. These cells are essentially little bags of salt water. Think about when someone goes to the hospital, they start a saline drip. Salt water solution. Your tears are salty. Your sweat is salty. You get the picture. Cells have four main functions: protect, detect, repair, and replace. This is called apoptosis, which is where a cell is designed to destroy itself if it cannot be properly repaired. Then a healthy cell replicates to replace it. In every cell, there's a structure called the mitochondria, the battery packs of the cells. The mitochondria is where cellular energy, ATP, is produced. Until 1998, it was believed that the byproduct of this cellular energy production was a waste product. In 1998, a Nobel Prize was awarded for the discovery that this waste product was actually redox signaling molecules. And since that time, many scientific bodies have been trying to recreate and stabilize these molecules. However, it was considered impossible, as you have to have both positive and negative molecules together, and they are fleeting. It's like putting hot and cold water in a bucket and expecting the hot and cold water to stay that way. The National Institute of Health has given grants to 3 major universities for redox research, and both Vanderbilt and Harvard now have their very own redox research centers. That's important. Wake Forest University just started a school for redox biology and medicine. The University of Nebraska just opened a new school of redox biology and wellness. You can search Redox Biology University, and this is what you'll find. If the University of Nebraska and Wake Forest University and all the others are opening specializations in redox, what does that mean? It means the world at large is going to start agreeing that there is a principle called reductant antioxidants in biology and wellness that's fundamental to our health. Now, we can't say the word medicine because we are not a drug, but these schools are called Redox Biology and Medicine. That is the actual name of the school. But these schools, anyway, I'm sorry, I got a little backwards there. What we're saying is that the redox phenomenon are becoming the next wave of not only wellness, but in their words, of medicine. So in 5 years, people will have degrees in redox biology. What we have known for the past 10 years is finally reaching the world. 10 years ago, most people said redox wasn't even real. And now the Society for Free Radical Biology has now changed their name to Society for Redox Biology. To get a better visual understanding of this technology and how it works in the cells of our body, let's watch a fun quick draw video.
The human body is an extraordinary creation, made up of between 50 and 100 trillion cells, each one performing just the right function in just the right place at just the right time. Your cells themselves are amazing. Each one is a bustling metropolis of activity, a city that never sleeps. Every second of every day, your cells work tirelessly to keep your body healthy and strong. One of the major functions of your cells is the production of fuel. This fuel, known as ATP, is actually created by workers inside the cell called mitochondria. Mitochondria are so vital and important that a single cell can have thousands of these little workers. In fact, it is estimated that half of the dry weight of the human body is made up of mitochondria. Mitochondria do more than supply the body with the fuel it needs. They also play a key role in cell signaling and communication, coordinating the actions and activities of your cells. When you think about it, this kind of signaling is essential for health and life, since it is the foundation for things like cell development, tissue repair, and immune functions. Without the ability to communicate and coordinate the activities of cells, we would fall apart pretty quickly. The mitochondria's role in this vital communication system lies in the fact that they make special molecules, called redox signaling molecules. The mitochondria make these molecules by the trillions, every second of every day. Good thing, too, because without these redox signaling molecules, life itself would be impossible. You need these molecules to protect the health of your cells, to detect threats and damage, and to repair or replace injured cells. Unfortunately, as we get older, our ability to make redox signaling molecules diminishes. Ever notice that bumps and bruises that disappear in no time on a child seem to last forever on someone who is elderly? The cells in that older person simply aren't communicating as efficiently as they did when they were younger, and so cells and tissues take longer to repair themselves. And all because the body isn't making as many redox signaling molecules as it used to. But what if there were a way to replenish your supply of these amazing little molecules? What if there were, in essence, a redox signaling supplement? How would your life change if you had a supply of redox signaling molecules like you did when you were younger? Such a product would be incredible, but how would you go about making it? Well, a good start would be to understand how the mitochondria in your trillions of cells make these vitally important molecules. Your cells are little bags of salt water. The mitochondria and other organelles inside the cell float around in this salt water. It's not surprising, then, that when the mitochondria need building blocks for creating redox signaling molecules, they use something they have plenty of: salt water. It works out pretty great because salt water is made up of just 4 atoms: the sodium and chloride atoms in salt and the hydrogen and oxygen atoms in water. The mitochondria pull apart these saltwater molecules, then recombine the atoms in different configurations. The new combinations are, guess what? Redox signaling molecules. Things happen so fast inside the cells that these redox signaling molecules are manufactured in just fractions of seconds. And they get used quickly too. And if the cells don't need the redox signaling molecules right away, the atoms convert back into salt water, ready to be used again and again by the mitochondria. It's a very efficient system. So to make a redox signaling supplement outside of living cells, it makes sense to start with the same building blocks: salt and water. That's just what a company called ASEA does. We begin with a pure, pristine saline solution. Then, using a highly protected and patented electrochemical process, we break apart the bonds that hold the sodium, chloride, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms together. These free-floating atoms are then recombined in new configurations, and voila! Redox signaling molecules. Of course, the process sounds a lot easier than it really is. Your mitochondria make redox signaling molecules in fractions of seconds. ASEA takes 3 full days to make the same molecules. But the real triumph for ASEA came in overcoming the issue of stability. Remember that redox signaling molecules made in the cell get used right away or else turn back into salt water? That's because redox signaling molecules are very reactive. They want to get busy and start working right now. This reactive nature makes it difficult to keep these molecules around for long. They want to get used or they'll revert back into salt water. Fortunately, after countless hours of research and experimentation, the scientists at ASEA reached a breakthrough. They discovered a process for pairing these highly reactive molecules into balanced sets, stabilizing redox signaling molecules outside of living cells. This really is something extraordinary. Molecules that last just microseconds inside the cell have a shelf life of over a year in a bottle of ASEA. Amazing! So what does ASEA, the world's first redox signaling supplement, mean for you? Simply put, it's an entirely new approach to health. Every other health and wellness product, vitamins, exotic juices, everything, tries to help the body by giving it something foreign, something the body has to try to figure out how to use. Not so with ASEA. The molecules in ASEA are native to the body. See, your body already knows how to take care of itself. Your cells actually make the tools they need, and for the first time in history, you can replenish and reinforce those tools. You can, in fact, give your body more of the native molecules it needs to take care of its own health. ASEA is more than a mere supplement. It is a foundational approach to health and wellness, a fundamental shift in how we take care of ourselves. So are you wondering just what ASEA can do for you? There's one powerful way to find out. Talk to the person who shared this message with you. Get your hands on a case of ASEA and feel for yourself the effects of the world's first and only redox signaling supplement. Your life and your approach to your own health will never be the same.
So, why do we need to supplement with these molecules if we produce them in every cell of our body? Well, we lose the ability to produce them as efficiently as we age. Starting at puberty, we begin to decline at a rate of 10% per decade of life in our ability to produce redox. Many factors contribute to this decline. With aging, we have fewer and less efficient mitochondria. We are exposed to toxicity, pollution, disease, and etc. Think of a little child who can run around and play all day, fall down, go boom, and then the next day they're not hurting or sore. Their bodies heal and repair very efficiently. Here is a great analogy that is often used to describe this. Think of your body as a house, and there's a fire in your house somewhere. You need to call the fire department, but as all of us have cell phones these days, we are dependent upon the connection and the number of bars to speak on our phones. If you pick up your cell to call the fire department but have no cell phone signal, your message to the fire department will not be able to get through. They don't get the message that there's a fire and are unable to come and assist. The same thing happens in your body when there's a fire or an issue. For example, your cells need to be able to signal so the repair crew can get the message and show up. If you think about it, all health issues in the body are rooted in damaged cells. ASEA is your easy button. It doesn't matter what the issue is or where it is, it involves cells that needs to communicate in order to protect, detect, repair, or replace. ASEA is made from salt and water in our labs in Salt Lake City, Utah. They use a 3-step process, and there are over 30 layered patents in this process. These molecules are considered native to the body. That means that the exact same thing that's in our bottle of ASEA is in every cell of your body. It is impossible to be allergic to this product, and there is no level of toxicity as well as no negative interaction with meds or other supplements. That's great. There is no LD50 for this product. LD50 means at what dose does the product become lethal for 50% of the test subjects, usually mice. When researchers tried to find an LD50, they finally said they'd have to drown the mice in ASEA to cause harm, as the more ASEA they gave them, the healthier they became. By the way, we do not have an LD50 result because the company did not want to harm any animal in this study. So, what happens when you drink Redox? Does it cure everything? No. It is neither acceptable nor accurate to say that ASEA cures or prevents any condition in the body. It is truly your body and your cells that do the healing. ASEA just gives the cells the ability to communicate more efficiently so they can perform their functions more effectively. Protect, detect, repair, and replace. Now, you do want to have reasonable expectations while taking ASEA. For many of us, it took a long time to get our bodies into the shape we're in. It's going to take a little time for tissues to heal and repair themselves. On average, 30% will see improvement in some area in 30 days. 60% will see improvement in 60 days, and 90% in 90 days. I really think that understanding the science just a little will help those who have more significant challenges understand the need to stick with it over a longer period of time. I know I certainly did. With every case of ASEA comes a tracker form. It is very important to fill this out. You can customize it depending on your needs. When you take the Redox molecules, you don't get to tell them where to go. Your body has an inherent wisdom that will utilize them where it sees fit. By taking inventory at the beginning, you will be more in tune with many of the subtle changes that occur as your cells begin to communicate more efficiently. And now I would like to turn the time over to Marco, who will tell us more about the science, the studies, and the company.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much, Kathy. Appreciate that great explanation of the science and the company. All right. So just a little bit about me before we get into it, about a little bit in depth into those studies. My name is Marco Ricciuti. I am a millennial entrepreneur who leverages social media to help build my global businesses. And I got my degree from Manhattanville College with concentrations in business and marketing, and also got a concentrations in digital media production and sports studies. So I am a ASEA Platinum executive and one of the key partners in helping open and develop emerging markets in South America for ASEA. So I'm excited to talk with you guys a little bit about more of the studies within ASEA. So we're going to dive straight in and talk about the Torrit lab studies and what they have done with ASEA and the genetics behind it. So Torrit Lab did a gene study, and ASEA actually redesigned their label, like you guys can see in the front, to print the results of the study on the back of the bottle. So this gene study was actually done over 8 weeks, and participants who were average age of 35, who were fairly healthy. And in that study, about 100% of the patients or the participants themselves, the improvements were measured in 5 different genetic pathways of the body. So the first one being to improve immune system health, the second one being to help maintain a healthy and inflammatory response, Third one is helping maintain that cardiovascular health and support for arterial elasticity. And then fourth one being to improve gut health and digestive enzyme production. And the fifth and final is to modulate hormone balance to support vitality and wellness. So you guys can see that on the front, but the improvement in the expression of these genetic pathways was between 20 to 31% in all participants, which is really huge. So also, Dr. David Neiman of the University of North Carolina Human Performance Laboratory performed a metabolic study with ASEA. And Dr. Neiman, he is the vice president of American College of Sports Medicine, and he's actually the author of 9 different books, which you guys can see on the screen, the physiology and exercise testing. And he has over 200 peer-reviewed articles and over 300 articles in health and wellness magazines, right? So all of his studies are double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled, which is really important when it comes to these different studies. So Dr. Neiman's study showed within 30 minutes of ingesting ASEA, the body actually starts to mobilize fat from the abdomen that then goes out into your bloodstream as a medium chain free, like fatty acids. And these fatty acids can actually be used as a fuel source. So when you're on ASEA, you're actually, you begin to burn fat as a fuel source first. And fat burns and produces ATP, which is cellular energy, about 6 to 8 times more efficiently than muscle glycogen or stored glucose that we have, right? Also, when you're burning fat, you don't produce lactic acid, which builds up in your muscles and makes you sore the next day, which most people know if you're, as an athlete, you get that maybe in your shins sometimes, right? Awesome. So this is also not obviously, this is not only for athletes, but it's also just for the average people. Professional athletes and weekend warriors have really noticed ASEA reduces their recovery time. And if you don't, have to use your cellular energy for normal activities of daily living, really, your cells have more cellular energy to perform that protect, detect, repair, and replace. And so another study that was done by Dr. Neiman, they actually put mice on these little mice treadmills, which you guys can see in front of you, and measured how far they could run to exhaustion, right? Then they split them into 2 groups, put half on ASEA, half on a placebo, and the placebo used in that experiment was salt water at the same exact concentration as ASEA. Now, keep in mind, a lot of naysayers on the internet will say, ASEA is just salt water, but it's important to remember that we have taken that salt and water through some very advanced electrobiochemistry and rearranged those molecules such that they're really no longer salt water and they're actual redox signaling molecules. So much in the same that, when we bake a cake, for example, you take the eggs, flour, sugar, you mix them together. And when they're baked, a molecular change happens and you have a cake. You don't have eggs, flour, and sugar, right? It's also good to know that the salt content in ASEA is actually quite small. And so it's about 125 milligrams of sodium, which is essentially equivalent to about 2 carrots or a piece of toast, right? So it's not that much salt content. Anyways, I want to go back to that study that we were talking about and the findings of the study. So these mice on ASEA, on average, ran 29% further than the control group and further than before ASEA. 33% increase in sparring of muscle glycogen because they were burning fat as a fuel source, right? So honestly, who doesn't want to burn fat as a fuel source, right? So I also want to talk about the cholesterol study by Dr. Neiman. So he took 106 overweight women between the ages of 20 and 73 and gave them ASEA for 12 weeks. And honestly, the findings were significant. And there was a huge reduction in oxidative LDL, which is your bad cholesterol. And the ASEA increased the body's own antioxidant glutathione efficiency by 500 to about 800%. And Dr. Neiman said, we found that, by drinking this 4 ounces of ASEA a day for 12 weeks, reduces those LDL levels in the blood. And that's a highly significant finding. And if you keep your oxidative LDL low, your chances of heart disease goes down as well, right? So what are others saying about ASEA? Well, Forbes in 2019 said it was a super supplement to repair damaged cells. You have the Huffington Post in 2016. They said that this was one of the 5 emerging technologies in science that will shape our lives in the coming years. You have Redox Congress, which is held in Paris. In June 2019, over 20 doctors presented their studies on Redox. And that happens every year. They have these Redox Congress. We also have Dr. Brian Clemens. He's the head of Hippocrates Health Institute. And he did his own year-long double-blind study and said that we strongly advise utilizing this important contribution to human health, right? We also have Dr. James Watson, who's the co-discoverer of the double helix structure for DNA, and obviously a well-respected scientist. And he said type 2 diabetes, cancer, brain disorders are a lack of these redox signaling molecules, right? So we have a whole bunch of other information, and that can be found on pubmed.gov. And if you type in on pubmed.gov, redox, there's over 314,000 articles that come up. And if you type redox signaling, there are over 33,000 articles on that, right? So that's increasing day by day. There are also currently over 1,200 textbooks written on redox, and there have been over 5 Nobel Prizes awarded to the redox science. And honestly, the news about this technology is getting out there. So ASEA decided to make a topical application out of their molecules, and they added a clay and a pH balancer to that salt water to make the gel, and they called it Renew 28, which you guys can see in front of you. It was originally actually developed as a skincare product, but obviously now we know it's a whole body skin therapy, and it's used in all throughout the body. So Dermatest is a renowned third-party laboratory, and they had done extensive testing on Renew 28, giving it a 5-star for safety and effectiveness. And you can't get that unless it's 100% safe. So Renew 28 is actually part of the Redox friendly skincare system, which is honestly deserving of an entire presentation of itself. But I also want to introduce to you guys the ASEA Via line, which is a complete cellular wellness supplement. And with the redox signaling molecules, we have the labor. And then if we add in that nutritional line, we have the materials to support complete nutrition. So what does that mean? So essentially, I want you to think about your body as a house. And in your house, there are constant renovations going on, right? And you're continually repairing and updating, so to speak. And it's a lifelong process. And so if you have a construction crew show up with all the best equipment and muscle in the world, but the trailer full of materials didn't really show up, or only a fraction of the materials showed up, you would really get very little done, right? So in our bodies, the redox is the labor force and the crew that can do the work and to repair, remodel your house, right? And the nutrients we intake and absorb and are the materials or the building blocks the crew will have to use to do their work. So even in a well-balanced, healthy diet, it's honestly impossible to get all these nutrients we need from the food we eat. So we simply really must supplement our diets. And so these whole food micronutrients are patented to be able to be bioavailable, which means our bodies and our cells are actually able to absorb them and utilize them to their full potential. So I wanted to spend just a few minutes giving you guys a quick story of how we came to be ASEA, and I think it speaks to the heart of who we are and who we're in business with. So it honestly all started with a man named Burtis Norton, who's in front of you guys, and Burtis was honestly a successful businessman. He retired, executive VP of strategy for Kraft Foods. And in retirement, he actually was asked to help run a biotech company and later asked to sit on the board. And so he wanted to understand what they were trying to accomplish. And the company could produce these redox molecules from the salt and water, but it required a special machine, and the molecules were only stable for about 20 minutes. So not really a marketable model per se. However, Burtis began drinking the product for himself, and he noticed things clearing up. His thinking cleared up, and he had more energy, and he was in his 60s at that time. And when it was later discovered that the company was out of money and significantly in debt, they sold to an energy company who began to sell off assets. And Burtis, knowing this was something valuable, was able to purchase the technology with the help of an investor and friend. So his plan was to actually stabilize the molecules and then sell the technology. It was really a business opportunity in the beginning. But they hired Dr. Gary Samuelson, an atomic medical physicist, who was eventually able to stabilize the molecules. And the product was presented to a big pharma company who did their due diligence and offered them a check, honestly, big enough that they wouldn't want to talk to anyone else, right? And so they said they wanted to take it through the FDA process. And in order to do that, it cannot be in the hands of the public. And so they wanted to have to cease production immediately. And so well before this meeting, Burtis had started a focus group for the product, and they wanted to see if these people would take it. And for some people, it would, for example, taste like pool water, right? But they chose 40 people, and they gave them all the product they could need. And 6 of those people were significantly challenged in their health. And about after 2 months, when they checked back in on this focus group, they found out that those 40 people that they started with shared with 135 people in 20 different countries. So they had their answer that people would take the product, right? And so in terms of the deal, they would have to take all this product away from these people who were benefiting from that redox, whose bodies were improving in their ability to communicate at that cellular level, right? And so Burtis, who had started his venture as a business prospect, ended up choosing to turn down that money, and he chose the people. He realized that this was more than money. It was about helping, the world. And so they were faced with a problem of how to get it into the world, on a larger scale. And it's a new science, and placing it on a shelf in a store with ingredients of salt and water was not a good model, as people, don't really know what redox was. So they chose network marketing, and the model honestly lends itself to having a conversation like we're doing right now, a chance to explain a little bit more about the science and to foster understanding, right? And I'm really so proud to be part of this business with these people, and very proud to share this product. And Burtis would say, we're all at the start of something big with great purpose, and right now is the moment to begin influencing the future. We can really change the world, and I like to add one cell at a time. So I just want to thank everybody for coming on this morning and taking time out of your day to join us. This ends our presentation, and we invite you to get back to the person who invited you here today. For those who want to learn more about the ASEA business opportunities with more testimonials, please join us on Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard or 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you have any questions, or if you just want more information, I would say the next step is to talk to the person who invited you here today. So thanks again, everybody. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.